Hey everybody, Matt Michaels here with Sin City Steve, Simon Street, and a, our guest today is, God, I want to say wrestling royalty at this point because your family has given so much to the business. It's Allison Danger, and fans, please, 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 if you've never heard the name before, first of all, what rock are you hiding under?
No kidding.
And number two, look her up because she means a lot to the business as a whole. And Allison, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, you guys. How about you?
Doing well, thank you.
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, these guys haven't been able to check the football scores, so I think they're fine right now.
Guys, there's no sports because there's no hockey right now. There's no such thing as other sports.
You know,
Nice.
I'm glad you
Rocking the
said
Golden
that.
Knights gear.
You know it.
You know what, though, Allison, you're going to have to get yourself some of the Silver Knights gear representing my minor league hockey team that they're just starting for the Golden Knights. They purchased a minor league hockey team, the Silver Knights.
Yeah. Oh, no. I literally follow hockey every day.
The Henderson
Awesome.
Silver Knights.
I'm that person you talk to, and I'm like my husband will come home from work. I'll be like, baby, they dared to try and trade Pacioretty. I'm not going to stand for that nonsense. I'm like, I was following all the trade stuff, and he's like, honey, it's going to be fine. And I'm like, I don't like how DeBoers is treating my Marc-Andre Fleury as much as I love Leonard. You know, they need to keep them both. We can find it in the budget. And then they trade Nate Schmidt. And I'm like, okay, maybe not find it in that budget. Yeah, I'm bummed that there's no more Schmitty. Schmitty's gone. Yeah. But no, I watched the trades with Golden Knights, and I've been watching the Hurricanes stuff a lot too.
Where do you stand on the Kings?
They're there. I mean, they're not San Jose, so they got that going for them.
Oh, that hurts.
I'm telling you, when they announced that Evander Kane was getting sued by what was it, de Blasio? It was not long after that San Jose came through the T-Mobile, and you best believe we got tickets. And we were in a rowdy section every time Kane hit the ice. All of us just above our chairs, pay your marker. You know, you owe us money. You better have our money. Yeah, we were just all over him. I grew up, so I'm Canadian, but I grew up outside of Philadelphia. So I grew up a Flyers fan. And I mean, from 77 on, my grandmother, who's a huge Flyers fan, she made sure that, like, I knew she watched all the hockey games and whatnot. And we used to go to games and stuff like that. So I grew up in the shadow of like the Broad Street Bullies. And then I played ice hockey for 2 years outside of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, with a bunch of Army wives. And they were all Red Wings fans. So there was a lot of animosity on my team between the Red Wings fan and here, me practicing every day in my Lindros jersey. I think it's safe to say I'm a big hockey fan.
Grew up a Blackhawks fan, and I'll tell you right now, I share that passionate hate for the Red Wings that I think everyone should respect the franchise for Gordie Howe and what they've been able to do. But God, I hate those Red Wings. They're so
97 was a rough year for me. Rough year. Swept in 4 in the Stanley Cup Finals. I never forgave them. But they have been sucking the last few years, so I feel like karma's come around.
Absolutely.
As I rock my black and gold everywhere I go. But yeah, you best believe I look down my nose at the Red Wings.
You know what's interesting? I never grew up with hockey. And when I found out Las Vegas was getting its own NHL team, at first I was like, okay, this could be pretty good because I've always put it on my list. I want to learn more about hockey. Never had the opportunity. So Golden Knights come through and I go to my first game. Done. I'm not saying I'm an expert. That's my first ever official NHL hockey game ever. And So I went with my company. They grew up on the East Coast. And so they grew up with hockey. And so, man, they said it was a joy and a delight to see me excited because, it's my first time ever. And like I said, if money's great, I can get a good seat, I'll go.
Oh yeah.
Nice game. But yeah, I'm so happy.
Nothing beats live hockey though. I mean,
oh man, it's like a whole different world.
Watching it on TV, it's said so often, but it really doesn't translate to going to a live event. It's so awesome.
It enhanced me watching it on TV, because before I went to that game, I was watching it in the bar like anybody else, and I was entertained and I was excited because I never chose an NHL team, so I chose the Golden Knights. That's my team for life. And so when I went to the game, it even enhanced it even more, because I got flashbacks of everything that I was witnessing, the crowd, everything. And I started learning about the rules. I learned what a shootout was. I didn't know what a shootout was. I was thinking people had guns, ignorantly, because I didn't grow up.
I mean, they might right now.
Yeah, I didn't grow up with hockey, but it was amazing. I'm so happy what Golden Knights have done for Las Vegas. I mean, it's to me, I view Las Vegas more as Golden Knights than Raiders. No offense, I'm a Saints fan, but I still view them more as we're a hockey town.
Vegas is a hockey town.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Golden Knights came at the perfect time. I feel like they were the catalyst to the city beginning to heal after October 1st.
Yes.
And I mean, nothing beats that environment. And I have Canadian friends that are like, the Golden Knights, all the pageantry, like it's embarrassing. I'm like, bro, like that's this city. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is the longest I've stayed put in somewhere forever. I mean, I was a Rolling Stone for, a lot of my career, and from like age 19, and I started going out on my own. And, I've lived here in Vegas now almost 10.5 years, and it just like, it really made Vegas feel like home. But there's nothing like those games. And I mean, I've seen Philadelphia games, I've seen games in Carolina, but nothing beats that environment around the Golden Knights at that T-Mobile. Everybody up on their feet. Oh my gosh. It's something special, and I highly recommend it. And now my husband and I, post-COVID, our big goal is to try and see a Golden Knights game, but in every other city.
Oh,
wow, that's a good thing. Yeah, I never thought
we're gonna brave San Jose and all our black and gold, man.
That's gonna be fun.
What's really funny too is that not only did you say Red Wings, but you said San Jose. That's the other team I just fucking despise. I don't know why. It's just, there's an attitude they have as if the San Jose Sharks have been around since 1933, and they're just so fucking good. And it's like, no, fuck you guys. You're horrible, awful, nasty hockey team. Don't like you guys. I just I
this
know.
Wasn't their year.
No. But I guess we should talk some wrestling at some point.
At some point.
Yeah.
This is like when I do my show. I'm like, we're going to talk about women's herstory. And then at the end, I'm like, oh man, we've ran like 45 minutes. We should probably talk about wrestling, because we talk about everything else.
I love that. And that's what we like to do too. And as we, you said you grew up in Canada, essentially, or born in Canada. What was your upbringing like in terms of how you got involved in seeing wrestling for the first time, and how did the family in general get involved? Because you obviously are a Carino, and again, that name to me is man, when your brother won the ECW title, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but for some of us, we had been waiting like just so long to see a pinnacle reached. And I'm just so interested on how you personally kind of grew, developed, and what was your starting point?
Yeah, well, with that ECW match, we knew it was going to be big. Like, we were hoping it was going to be big, and they actually flew my mom in for it, so my mom could be there. So if you ever look at the pictures, I think it's like my mom, my brother, and I want to say Jack Victory's with them. Yeah,
probably.
So, and I remember watching that. And so I didn't spend as long in Canada as my brother did, and then we moved to Philadelphia. My dad's from right outside Philadelphia. My mom's from Norristown, and we were raised right outside of Philly. And wrestling to me was that thing that my brother loved. He had all the toys. He had And like to make me feel like I was part of it, they got me the Miss Elizabeth one, and like the bodysuit that had the detachable skirt, like that was my girl. And I would watch with Steve for that, but I never was in the wrestling. But then Ricky Steamboat would come through the curtain. I'd be like, I was in love with Steamboat. Steve would get all like the old Apter mags and he'd be pulling the posters out. And I'd be like stealing the Ricky Steamboat ones. And so, but that was like my whole thing for wrestling. And I remember when Steamboat took the guardrail to the throat. What was it? I cried because I was like, don't hurt my baby. So fast forward to me, the first time I met him was that?
Really quick. I just wanted to say really quick, what always sticks out to me, because right around that, 86, 85, 86 is when I got him, started watching it. And it was, I think in 86, he took the DDT on the concrete on a Saturday night's main event. And then he took the guardrail like 4 months later. It was so cool because Ricky Steamboat was their only wrestler who came back from that type of adversity that wasn't Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
And so that I could see, as a kid being, in love with, as if he was a Grey's Anatomy character, he would be McDreamboat, maybe.
I never watched that show.
But he was a good looking man. That's one can say that. I mean, out of that whole roster, he was dapper. That was for sure.
All right, back onto your pathway.
So what I was going to say was, fast forward to years later, the very first time I met him at Ring of Honor, he walked in on me in the bathroom by accident. The lock wasn't working, and I was changing, and I slammed the door in his face, going, "Oh my God, I just hit Ricky Steamboat." And so I throw my gear on real quick, and I open the door, and CM Punk standing there going, "What have you done?" And I'm like, Punker, did I hit him? And he goes, "Dude, you're such an ass." And I'm like, no. No, he busted my balls for so long after that. Yeah. And then I walk up, I'm like, "Mr. Steamboat, I'm so sorry. And it's so nice to meet you." And then he was like, "It's nice to meet you too. I'm so sorry about the bathroom." I'm like, "Never speak of this again." And then I went and I sat at the table and I started doing my makeup, and Tracy Brooks saw the whole thing and she's looking at me and she goes, "You okay?" I'm like, "I think I've died. And this is horrible." And then we would sit there and we would like look at each other, and then we'd stare at Steamboat, and they'd look over to us and we'd pretend to be talking to each other. But the whole time we were like two lovesick little teenagers going, "Ricky Steamboat's in our locker room." Yeah, it was awesome. He's such a nice guy. And it's so cool because during that time at Ring of Honor, if you asked him a question, he'd be like, "Yeah, let me answer it." But then he'd answer it for everybody. So everybody would stop what they were doing and just like listen to whatever he had to say, because he just had that presence. And we all knew how fortunate we were to be sharing the same space as him. I mean, that's one of the things I loved so much about Ring of Honor, was everyone was there and there was so much established talent and so much coming up talent. And collectively, like, we all just passed that respect straight on to whoever came in, and Steamboat was one of them. Man, he still got it too. Damn, Silver Fox. Getting vapors. Hope my husband doesn't hear this. I don't even lie. I tell him straight up, "Baby, I'll leave you for Steamboat in a heartbeat." And he's like, "I know."
It's awesome.
Were you athletic as a kid?
Not really till high school. In high school, I got into field hockey. I ran track for a season, but that's only because I like jumping over things. And then I played softball for a little bit, and that began the destroying of my knees. So, I dabbled in sports. Like, my parents and my brother were on like this softball league, and I always thought, when I got to be like 16, 17, I was going to join the family softball team, and by then they disbanded. And at that point, I was 15, 16 when Steve started wrestling. And so we would go to his shows and stuff like that. And then when he went to ECW, I remember working in a gym, and every time ECW was on TV, we would put it up at the gym. And I want to say the very first show was the one where Steve's up in the corner and they pulled his trunks down. And then I'm standing there with all my coworkers, and my brother is like rear ends hanging out. And I'm like, this ain't. But yeah, I only really watched it if Steve was watching it and I wanted to hang out with him because I was that annoying little sister that followed him around everywhere. Or when he broke in is when I started like really watching it. And even then I wasn't watching a lot of like WWE or anything like that. It was whatever Steve was on, ECW, that's what I watched. And then started hanging out backstage at ECW. Like I'd come and visit them at some of the shows, and then got to be friends with people. And I had already known like Dawn Marie and Simon Diamond from when they worked at ECWA down in Delaware. Because every now and then I'd go to the Delaware shows with my brother and stuff. So I already knew them, and then I got to be friends with Franny, and then that's how I broke in. And yeah, the rest is history.
What about pro wrestling did you pick up on first in terms of, or what was easiest for you? You know, in terms of a lot of times you see talented kids who might be good athletes, you know, good in the ring, but they can't tell the story. And whether it be, you know, mic skills or actual telling in-ring stories with putting together matches. What was it for you that kind of opened up that avenue to like, oh, okay.
I remember that very first spot that they did with Sandman in like May of 2000, Reading, Pennsylvania. Was it Reading? Yeah, Reading. And it was just intoxicating. Like I just flipped a switch. Like Francine was like, even your walk changed when you were going with him. And it just, it's so, I don't even know like how to explain it. You just get drunk on that feeling of being in front of the crowd and like being able to work with people's emotions and getting them invested in stuff. And that's what brought me in. And then when I realized, oh, I really like this. And Steve's like, well, if you got to do it, you got to do it right. You got to learn to bump, stuff like that. The plan was never to be a wrestler. The plan was to be like a manager for a while, you know, enjoy it, make it what it is. He's like, if you're going to manage, ballet, whatever, you got to learn how to bump. And so I have him. I have Mike Keener, who doesn't get credit for the brilliant wrestling mind that he is, you know, and how proficient he is in the ring. And a guy named Rapid Fire Maldonado, that they all three of them took me under their wing and started training me in Reading. And then I ended up like valeting with Raph. And then we ended up getting into this program with Dylan Knight and Candy. And then they're like, all right, you can bump now. We're going to throw you in a mixed tag match, where I just did a couple Lita-esque spots and then jumped off the turnbuckle. Also realized I don't like heights. So if you noticed, I'm not much of a high flyer in my career. Things. But yeah, I mean, it's something special. And I know it's not for everybody. And yeah, there's some great athletes that can't make that switch to adding in that drama. But when they do, man, it's a work of art. Yeah.
Do you know, I grew up as an actor, and one of the things that was presented to me when I was probably a teenager is I had a director who described, if you think about it in your head, a stage is a painting that is literally moving. And I think that kind of also describes pro wrestling, because at its simplest form, it's based in athleticism. But at its grandest form, you can step away, look at it, and it's just this beautiful picture just flowing.
Yeah, it's art. Wrestling is art.
Mm-hmm.
What for you, when you maybe talk to a younger wrestler who you can see potential in, what for you is the advice that you would give to a younger wrestler in terms of they might not have that perspective yet of the fact that it's actually a living, breathing art form? What can you kind of tell them to kind of steer them in the direction so they can start seeing that, open their mind up to that?
It doesn't come up too often because most people that break into wrestling are really already super passionate about it. They really already get it. It's now helping them take it and put it into their own. And one thing that I'm learning now, 20 years later, is like improv is a really big help in teaching people how to go on the fly. And I actually have a friend who did improv in Chicago, and I'm like, you should be giving lessons to people and teaching them how to react on the fly and stuff like that. But I mean, for the most part, most people breaking into wrestling, they already know they're in love. I try to think about the people that I know, and I think about my peers. The grand majority of them were wrestling fans all their lives. So they already got the art. It was now learning how to go from watching it to doing it. And they had to learn how to make that transition. And some do great with it and some can't really do it. But then we have people who will train to be a wrestler, and we realize, okay, maybe wrestling's not your thing, but you have a mind for it or you have a mouth for it. And then we find where they fit. We try to find in the puzzle what's going to work best for them. You don't want to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Right.
You find that perfect fit for them. Sometimes it's reffing, sometimes it's commentary, whatever it is. Some people are just better managers, and that's not a knock on them. You got to go and you got to work with what you are good at.
Sure. No. Steve,
yeah,
go ahead and chime in here, because I know you've got some stuff that we're kind of dancing around here.
Yeah, definitely. So now you had mentioned Ring of Honor, and that promotion has been solid for numerous years at this point. You were slated to take part in the Ring of Honor Past versus Present event very recently here in Las Vegas back in March, which was the same weekend as ROH's the 18th anniversary show. Unfortunately, that was one of the first major wrestling shows canceled because of COVID concerns. If you don't mind telling us, what was the plan for that night?
Commentary. I was going to do commentary. They were going to bring me out as part of the Women of Honor match, and I was going to get to do commentary with Ian. So I was really excited because I was watching all his stuff, trying to get a feel for it. But yeah, that was the plan. I can't like wrestle anymore. Mm-hmm. And man, how good these young girls are these days. I'm like, I couldn't keep up with y'all anymore, but I'll train you guys, but I ain't trying to wrestle anymore. And so we're like, let's go with my strengths. I know this division. I've been here. I mean, I literally was the first female, first show, first woman through a table, first woman through the curtain. So yeah, I was kind of like the mother of the Women of Honor.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I'm the mother of honor.
Oh. and that actually kind of segues in. So now looking a little bit in retrospect on that, how do you feel about where the status of the business is in relation to women's wrestling now, as opposed to when you first got involved with the business?
Oh God, it's so much better. Well,
amen.
There's so much more variety. When I came in and I realized, I love wrestling, and I'm managing and I'm working my way up and I'm getting a match here and I'm getting a match there. I'm like, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. The beginning, like I did a couple of those cat fight things, and whole time I'm rolling with my buddy going, girl, is this really what you want to do? Roll, fake a punch, pretend to choke her. I'm like, I'm not feeling satisfied with it. There's more for us. There's more. And so, me, Mickey James, Lacey, Daisy Hayes, you know, I mean, so much more. Mercedes Martinez, Del Rey, and Melissa out on the West Coast. Like, we all kind of got that idea of there's more to this. We can roll with everybody. If we can train with the guys, we can wrestle. And when I first broke in, especially like when we were getting the occasional match at Ring of Honor, we weren't getting a lot of time. They were just, you know, we were all finding our feet. The company was finding their feet with the women's division. The women were finding our feet. The fans weren't that great to us. They would boo, they would complain, they would pick up their chairs and forcibly turn them around, scream horrible things at us. You know, I had a couple like death threats. There were a couple fans that threatened that, you know, they were going to rape and murder us outside the show because we were daring to steal time from the guys. And I was like, whoo. And it's sad because it was a small group, but they were louder than the regular fans. So, you know, we would feel a lot of hate and not a lot of love. And, you know, I recognize in hindsight, that was not the majority of Ring of Honor fans. You know, they might not have been open to it at first, but they were not vocally horrible to us. But there were some folks that, man, it was ugly. Like, I had a block list on AIM, like you wouldn't believe. I would get stuff and, like, I remember one kid, oh my gosh, he would send me emails about like he was going to find me outside the show and forcibly inject AIDS into me and hoped I got cancer and hope I died in front of everybody. I hope you break your neck in front of the crowd so we can all dance over your body. Block them. Boom. That quick. New email. Boom. Block them. New email. And like, it was bad. It was really, really bad. And
wow.
You know, there's still a misogyny to it to this day, but I don't know if it's to extent that what we went through. I mean, it was nasty. It was, and it, you know, it wasn't just their fans. It was other fans too, but like the most vocal was coming out of there. And that's where I was getting a lot of my experience from. And again, it doesn't represent who all the fans were. I mean, I met fans from back then that are still like super cool people, but yeah, in the beginning, it was ugly. It was a rough start, but we just kept going. Just, you know, like Finding Dory, just keep swimming. And then when we started Shimmer, we're like, well, you know, let's build our audience. We know they're there. We know they want it. We just got to find it and build it. And man, look at us now, from 18 to like 50 women a show.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, but go ahead, Simon.
Oh, I was just going to kind of tie into what I wanted to ask you a question. You know, obviously it's apparent that across the board, women's wrestling is not only here to stay, but it's also a main staple of this company. Of what we love, pro wrestling. It is. Would you definitely say beyond the ring in competitors, do you think that there needs to be more of a formation of women behind the scene, not only as yourself as being a trainer, but also as production, also as well as writers? Because, you know, and I may state this and maybe the guys can chime in and agree or not, you know, we see in some companies where, you know, storylines that involve women kind of seems like the writing is not on par to what is really what women probably would agree to. And if I'm a male and I'm seeing that something's not connecting, it possibly has to be that we're not having enough female writers get the opportunity to showcase what may be more of a realistic appeal. Would you agree to that?
Oh, absolutely. What we're doing right now, and it's been such an improvement than it has in the past, you know, when the women would get like 5 minutes, eight. Oh my God, we'd be so thrilled with 8. Now we've got so many fantastic women wrestlers, and we do have some women behind the scenes, but not enough. It's still a lot of the women wrestlers are still telling men's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like sometimes when writers run out of steam, it's, oh, they're fighting over a dude. Oh, they're fighting over who's prettier. I don't care about that. The chick next to me is prettier. I'm going to high five her and ask her where she got her lashes. Ask her where she got them shoes. Like, that's not that. Women's wrestling should be about, I'm going to fight for respect, put respect on my name. I'm going to fight for, top of my division, top of my company. And I think that having more women writers, more women producers, more, women commentators, and it's getting better. You can see the trend is starting there. I think it's taken a little long to get there, but like, look what Del Rey's done down at WWE at NXT.
Yeah.
Man, like she's done beautiful things.
Yes.
You got Brandy over at AEW getting things done. You got Gail Kim over at Impact getting things done. And that's what I want to see more of. And that's what I want to encourage. And that's where, after I retired, I took a little time off to be depressed, because man, was I depressed when I retired.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't watch wrestling for like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Like I came home and I hermited myself. And eventually I started going, okay, Dave would be like, can you come to Shimmer? Oh, I'll come to Shimmer because it's Shimmer, right? But other than that, like I wasn't going to any local shows, wasn't training anybody. I just kind of hid for a while. And then I started to work my way out of it. And now I was like, okay, well, if I can't be a wrestler, I can be a trainer, and I can be a commentator, and I can be a producer, and I can be an agent, and I can do this, and I can do that. And 2020, I told myself, because, we all told ourselves 2020 was our year. This is what we're going to do, right? I'm like, this is my year. I'm going to get myself out there. I'm going to get myself signed this year. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I want to do this company. I want to, like each company, I had it. I'm like, okay, if I got to this one, I could do X, Y, Z. Or if I got to this one, I could do this. I could do this. I could go over here and do that. Like I had a game plan for like 5 different companies. And then COVID hit and I just looked at my husband. I go, well, damn, what am I going to do now? And so I spiraled at the beginning of the pandemic when they first locked down Vegas, because I was like, oh, we were so close. Ring of Honor. I'm like, I feel like I could do so much wonderful stuff for the Women of Honor division. I'm like, yes. I was like, yeah, ready to walk in there, kill it on commentary, shoot my shot, see what they say. And didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, all right. So now I'm getting through the pandemic. Okay, here I go. Getting through things. What am I going to do? I don't know. I'm home. I got the kid. She's doing the distance learning here in Vegas. And I'm like, well, mommy number one. And then that's where the idea of I'm going to start a podcast. Got all the equipment. I don't know what to talk about. And then one day I was cooking in the kitchen. I go, I'm going to talk about the women that inspired us. Yes. Okay. Now it's going. So then it started flowing. And I just put myself out there. I was supposed to do some training seminars. All of them got canceled. I'm like, okay, maybe we can switch this to online. Let's focus on this, focus on that. And then as the world started to ease up, I got a chance to work with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, which was really exciting because I had worked for them under their former name, probably in the early days of me living in Vegas. I remember because when I was there last weekend for the filming, one of the guys goes, I remember your daughter walking into the locker room with her little Hello Kitty travel bag full of toys and walking up going, hi, I am Kendall. Hi, I'm Kendall. And she went to every single person in the locker room and introduced herself and shook their hands. He goes, oh my God. That stuck with me. That was like 7-8 years ago. She was 3 or 4 when that happened. And this one wrestler remembered meeting my daughter. He goes, your daughter could give like lessons on etiquette. And I'm like, etiquette? My baby. Oh, my baby was good. My baby was so good.
That's amazing.
My baby had Cesaro gear for a while.
Really?
Because he was her favorite. Oh. So it was John Cena and then him and then Daddy was like down here, right? Oh. Whatever. Paige, Bailey, Mom. So and but I remember when he was doing the whole rip off the suit thing, I had to make her one of those.
Wow.
I got her like little boy dress pants, a little boy jacket, and we had her hair pulled back and she had the aviators on. And we were at, I think it was like the TLC pay-per-view in Vegas when he was doing that. And he came out and we were right close to the stage. He came out and then she walked kind of along where we were sitting. And then he would turn and she would turn and then she would like rip the stuff off and like shoot the crowd. Yeah.
Awesome.
Now she wants nothing to do with it. She sat me down a few weeks ago and she goes, Mom, I want to tell you something and I don't want you to be disappointed. And I'm like, baby girl, what is it? You can tell me anything. I'm your mom. She goes, I don't want to follow in the family tradition and be a wrestler like you and daddy and Uncle Steve and cousin Colby and everybody else. And she just starts listing all her like wrestling aunties and uncles. And I'm like, babe, you got to live for you. You can't live for mom and dad. You can't do what mom and dad wanted to do. Like this, you know, she wants to be an animator. And she's like, are you sure you're not disappointed? And then back in my head, I'm like, my baby's brain's going to be safe. I'm like, yay. I'm like, my baby's going to go into a smart career. No, but I mean, I wouldn't have her if it wasn't for wrestling. It's how I met my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The near I ever found on my travels.
Yeah.
Well, what like how did you guys first meet? What was the story behind you going, this guy, maybe I'll give him a shot?
Okay, so funny. So when Cesaro moved from Switzerland to Philadelphia, when he first came to the US, he ended up being my roommate.
Really?
Like, I met him through Chris Hero. Because me, Hero, Cesaro, and Lacey, we all had a house together in the middle of a cornfield on the edge of Reading, Pennsylvania, that had these giant spiders that lived in it. If you guys ever get the chance to record with any of them, ask them about the spiders at the Notorious Wrestle House. Like, they were wolf spiders. They were crazy. They were like smaller tarantulas that apparently were docile, but they were fast. And I remember mowing the lawn one day, and as I'm cutting the lawn, I see them just crawling on the ground underneath the lawnmower. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna pay somebody to do this. No more.
Yep.
We don't like spiders, don't like them at all. But he ended up being my roommate. And I remember when he moved into his room, he was putting all of pictures of all his Swiss friends. And there was this really cute bald guy with a chin strap, with this really sweet looking girl with long hair. And he was like, oh, that's my old tag partner, Ares. That's my best friend. I'm like, oh, sweet. So I saw a picture of him 3 years before I met him. And a couple times when he would come to the US and wrestle for Chikara, somehow I would always be booked somewhere else. So it was kind of like a little joke that, oh, his best friend comes to town. Everybody from Chikara gets to hang out with him, except for me, because I'm always somewhere else. So I never actually met him until 2007. And I'm over for German Stampede Wrestling. We're in Dusseldorf. Yeah, I think we're in Dusseldorf, Germany. And I'm sitting there, and I remember being at the building, and I'm talking to Emil Satochi, one of the Dutch wrestlers. And I see this guy walk in with a white shirt, black pants, freshly shaved head. And I go, that's him. That's the bestie. And I run over and I just jump in his arms. And I'm like, well, I finally get to meet you. And that's how we met. I just almost tackled this dude, give him a big hug. And I'm sitting there going, oh, is this electricity? Is this static cling? I don't know. But like, I'm feeling something already, because I saw him and I went, wow, oh, he's a lot cuter in person. Run, jump. Ends up, we're all in the back, change into my gear, because I'm gonna do the English commentary, but I'm also, wait, did I do English commentary there? I think I did the English commentary there. I know I did a 3-way pre-show match with Blue Nikita and a British girl named Roxy. I don't think she stayed in wrestling long after that. But then I think I went out with Daniels too for a hot second. And I had a Claudio Castagnoli shirt on, because this was before Claudio had been signed. And then I look, and my husband's got the exact same shirt on. And I'm like, okay, we got to take a picture and send it over to him. So we get a picture and we're going to like send it. And I think somebody took it on like one of those little disposable cameras. Like, I'm dating myself. How old I am. But we ended up joking around that I was going to marry him and bring him over to the US so he could be reunited with his best friend and tag partner. And he's always wanted to live in the US. So all night long, he kept calling me wifey. I kept calling him hubby. And then he wrestled Jeff Jarrett. I remember he took the guitar to the head and he got cut. And because he's a sweaty Betty, it like really looked like it was bleeding bad, but it wasn't that bad. And so we were supposed to go to an after party. He ended up not coming. And I was like, oh, well, guess I got stood up. Next day, I fly to France. We have a show in Paris for Queens of Chaos. Okay. And I'm traveling with M-Dog. M-Dog 20, who is an absolute hoot, who did a lucha roll. If you've ever seen the Paris airport, there's like a really long like escalator, but it's flat. He lucha rolled all the way down there. It was awesome. He almost took out like 2 French ladies. It was so cool. And so my husband ends up being on that show the next day. And so I'm busting on him. Like, oh, you stood me up at the after party. He's like, no, we had to take the train. And so we ended up hanging out. And then you could just see it. Like, it was all over our faces. Stevie Douglas was busting my nuts about it. So we stole his briefcase and we like duct taped a little like message in it to him. And then he knew we had done something to his thing. He didn't realize we used wrist tape and made him a little message about like how I liked him or whatever. And we like hid Tic Tacs in there and my pins were in there. And when he opened it up, because he would always carry the belt, he wouldn't wear it. He carried it in the briefcase because Swiss money holding. He opened it up and you can see his face like light up. And I'm like, he is mine. And we hung out that night with everybody from the show. And then the next day he had to leave to go back to Switzerland. And he took me out to breakfast and he ordered in French, which let me tell y'all, if y'all can speak French, hella romantic on the first date. Bust it out. You will get married.
That's all I have to do.
That's the hint, man. That's the hint. You bust
Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? That's all I know.
Yeah. You bust out some French on the first date, you're gonna marry that girl.
All right, I'm gonna try that, and if it's successful, you get a first class ticket to my wedding.
Oh, I'll do your wedding. I'll marry you guys.
All right, I'll take.
Oh God, please don't encourage him. Please, he doesn't.
He's already got like 5 ex-wives.
I don't have 5 ex-wives. I had 2 ex-wives, for the record. Okay, I was young.
How many kids you got?
I've got 2 beautiful kids, a 16-year-old and an 8-year-old son. Yes.
Oh, aren't kids the best?
Yeah, they are. They make you better.
I dig they make you tired.
Yes.
They can make you fat, but they definitely make you better.
Yeah. They steal your privacy, but hey, it's worth it.
Oh, there's no privacy.
No.
There's none.
Along those lines for you, what was the most unexpected thing about having your daughter come into your life?
Well, first off, she was a surprise, so that was unexpected.
Okay, that's fair enough.
she was a wedding night baby. She's made me a better person. She's made me more empathetic, a lot more patient, and a lot less rigid. And sure. I was very, very firm on how I saw women's wrestling. And man, like, I'm sure some people appreciated it. Some people found me insufferable, but like I had a very clear vision for where I wanted to see women's wrestling going. And that's the vision I was taking. And I also thought that way about parenting. I had a very strong sense of how I wanted to be a parent. And then I met her and I'm like, oh, I got to throw all this out the window because it's not going to work. You have to parent the child. Everyone's are like, oh, I'm going to be so tough and I'm going to spank my kid. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's going to be different. No screen time, no sweets, no soda. Throw all that out. And as you and your child learn who each other are, then you figure it out and you figure out what works the best for them. For the longest time, like, she's a really good kid. Like, I don't have to yell at her. I've never had to spank her. She's just a naturally good kid. Biggest threat for her when she was younger is, all right, if you're misbehaving, we're going to lose book privileges. Don't take my books, because she loved reading. And that was the big thing is, if mom and dad said, man, you're not going to be allowed to have your books for the day, that would change. We would have a change of attitude. But for the most part, I mean, I'm lucky. I keep thinking the shoe's going to drop though. Like, good as she is, I'm like, oh man, is she going to get like 16, 17, 18 and go nutter butters on me? Like, I'm nervous. I'm real nervous. But I mean, we have a very open conversation in this house. And I mean, it plays to the fact that her dad is European and we can talk about things. And it's, if she's old enough to ask the question, she's old enough to get the answer. So we teach her, you know, we'd rather you come to us if you make a mistake. It's always better to tell us the truth than for us to find out later. And so we've been able to be very open with that. And we have a great relationship. I mean, my husband, when I hear him come through the door, that's still like my favorite sound is his key in the door. Because I know we're about to have family time. Like, and I mean, we've been together almost 14 years now.
Oh, wow.
There's nobody else I'd rather be with than him. He's everything. She's everything. So
that's amazing.
I got lucky. I definitely found my soulmate. Took a while to get there, but then when I got there, yeah. But I think mentally and emotionally, we were both at the right place at the right time. Because I'm trying to think about, like, what if I met him like a couple of years earlier? Oh, and funny story, that girl in the picture that I was telling you about is now one of my best friends.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They had a very amicable breakup. They stayed friends. When I met him, he's like, she's one of my best friends, and that's how it is. And I met her and I was like, oh, I can see why. She's awesome. And her husband actually is one of the guys from WXW, the German company.
Yeah.
Tassilo, the referee, the real tall one. That's like my brother-in-law now. He's a cool dude. And we go on vacation together.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Never would have
we go on
thought
vacation.
seeing a picture, you know, that person would be part of your life.
Yeah, she's my Swister wife. He's my brother. Yeah, she's my Swister wife. That's what I call her. Yeah, that's what we call each other. And you know, her and Tass are amazing with my kid, and like they just love her unconditionally. And my daughter loves them. That's her Uncle Tass and Aunt Tamara. And you know, we created this beautiful family, and it's all based on just love and respect. And I mean, I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for the family we built, like, you know, with the biology and then with the extension of the friends and stuff. And that's one of the cool things about wrestling is the people you meet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
danger for the world.
So to kind of circle back to wrestling a little bit, let's talk about you know, recent history. You had mentioned championship wrestling from Hollywood.
Yes.
And actually November 9th, just a few days ago, you had made mention that your first weekend at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood went extremely well. So if you would just bring our audience up to speed on what you're going to be doing and what you are doing with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
So I'm doing producing and agenting backstage. So I'm working backstage with the crew. I worked with, I had my fingers in all the women's matches, and then I got to jump into some of the men's matches. Nice. I got to work with some really great people. I saw some old faces, met a lot of new faces. Felt really bad because everyone I worked with on Saturday, I knew. But on Sunday, I was still learning everybody's names. And unfortunately, like post-stroke, I'm not the best with names. And I always tell everybody straight up, hey, when I meet you, if I don't remember your name, please, it's not a reflection on you. It's just, I got that Sam Beckett brain going for me. And so thank you for getting the reference, because not everybody gets it. I'm like, I got that Swiss cheese brain. But yeah, I got to meet such great people, and they have so much good talent. And I'm sitting there and I'm getting all excited as I'm talking to these guys. And like, there's a few in particular where I'm like, okay, this is what I see now. This is what I see 6 months from the future. And this is what I see a year in the future. I'm like, I see this, I see that. Oh my gosh, tweak this a little. Like a lot of what I did was, these guys know what they're doing. I'm just in there to tweak some things and give some ideas, give some like creative input and whatnot. And maybe a couple of the guys, we worked on some character development. There's a few there, like, I don't know how fluent you guys are on the product, but a big one that I loved with Jesse James.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That dude has got something.
Yes.
He's got a little je ne sais quoi. And I see him, as I pitched it in the back, I remember, and I said it to him too, I go, you are going to be what old school wrestling fans, you're going to be who brings them back. Because if they don't like today's product, they're going to see you and they're going to be like, that's who I've been waiting for. I mean, this dude's going to be Stan Hansen in Japan one day. I see huge things for him. As long as he, keeps a good head on his shoulder. And it's funny because that whole stemmed from him busting my balls backstage.
Really?
That was my introduction to him, was him teasing me something about the parking situation. I'm like, bro. So the next day I'm like, I'm going to agent all your matches and I hope you lose every one of them. And I thought he was great. I thought Shapiro was great. EJ Sparks is going to be something good. I mean, There's so much good talent there.
Oh, yeah.
Howdy. Oh my God. I created this whole crazy backstory for him. I'm like, you are a possessed ventriloquist puppet, found on a Native American cemetery that a weird Tennessee trailer park got built on top of, and there's a poltergeist thing to you, and he was just like, you get me. And I'm like, I don't want to get you, but I do, because it's scary. He's got such good facials, and when he doesn't blink and he's got the cheeks are going, I'm like, oh my gosh. But he, and a lot of those guys, they get it and they see it, and it's just to be there. And you can see me getting excited now. It was seeing everybody getting into it, and how well everybody does, and the ebb and the flow, and the production team. I'm sitting there listening to them, 1, 2, camera 4, camera that, and hitting all these angles, and I'm like, okay, I don't see how these guys do it. I just had so much respect for that whole crew. And I mean, I think you guys are going to be very pleased on what you see in the coming months, and make sure if you're watching this and listening to this that you subscribe to their YouTube and find where they are in your local market. They're all over. So make sure you watch and just see how great that stuff is.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And you actually just mentioned YouTube, and kind of circling back to something that you mentioned earlier on. You have your own brand new show on YouTube, Women's Herstory with Allison Danger. If you would just indulge our listeners, give us a heads up as far as what they can expect when they tune in and check out that show.
So pretty much what I'm doing is I'm talking to other female wrestlers, and we're going to do some specials where we do talk to some of the male crew members and male wrestlers. But mostly what I'm talking to is my peers and the younger generation of who are the women that inspired you, who impacted your career. Was it Trish? Was it Lita? Was it Medusa? Was it Sherry? Who's my Bull Nakano fan? And we're doing it. And my very first episode, we did it with the Hex, Marty Bell and Allison Kay.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, oh my gosh, those two, so damn funny, right? And then I brought in Lacey Ryan for an episode. Savoy comes in. And as each episode goes, I'm noticing we're talking less and less about wrestling. And it's more just some pals getting together, having a cup of squared circle coffee, and, just shooting the breeze, and then eventually talking about wrestling at some point. Solo Darling was on a few weeks back, and we discussed the importance of mental health in professional wrestling for everybody. Cheerleader Melissa was just on and talking about running in the Muda in Taiwan in a random gym, and fans holding chairs when she's swinging me through one. What happened there? And we talk about home decor, and we talk about Vegas because she's a Vegas girl now, and stuff. So Killer Kelly was on a few weeks back, and we were trying to manifest her versus Nicole Savoy one day, her versus Big Swole, and now the internet today is going, oh my God, we need to see Big Swole versus Killer Kelly. I'm like,
yes,
duh. But she's actually just been announced for the Impact Knockouts tag titles, which are coming back.
Nice.
So yeah. My girls, the C-Stars are in that. And I'm like,
That's amazing.
Let me some C-Stars.
What would you say? Oh, I was going to get one more real quick.
Go ahead.
What would you say is something that because you seem like somebody that loves a good challenge, because you have vision and you can see a challenge laid before you, and you just, you know what would possibly work with this individual. Is there anybody that is in this business, doesn't matter what promotion or company, or maybe even somebody that is just now entering in, would you want to work with?
Ooh, that's good. That is really good. I would love to. Ooh, who would I want to get my hands on? I'm like, there's like a couple names floating in the air, and I'm like,
you can name them.
Well, Lacey was one that like I was so glad Melissa introduced us, because first time I met her, I'm like, I gotta get in this. I would love to do more stuff with the Top Dogs, Davian and Hot Scoop Skylar. I would love to do a lot more stuff with them. There's a couple girls over at AEW I would love to get my hands on if I had that opportunity. I think there's such potential. I think who was it? You know who I loved? I know I didn't get my hands on her, and I'm like, but I definitely see a lot of my brother's influence was Bianca Belair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
First time I'm like, I didn't get it the first time, and then one of the Shimmer guys, Pat Creed, was like, no, rewatch it. Watch this, and I'm going, okay. And then I watched a different match. It was her and Rhea Ripley here in Vegas that I was just like, boom. I was like, oh yes. And I could see like my brother's influence there, and she gets like the little things, and I was like, oh my God, this girl's gonna be a huge star, and I just love her. And then I met her, and she's so nice. You guys, she's awesome. So nice.
That's one of the coolest things. Like, you know, just not only her, but you just said like Rhea Ripley. Like, you talk about one of the sweetest people on earth. Yeah. It's like, you know, that's something that I'm seeing in this generation that is a little different than back, you know, dating ourselves the 20 years ago or so. Because I think because the opportunities are now there, there's a little more of a camaraderie that's even bigger than what, you know, and also I think there's more respect, because, you know, 20 years ago the respect level was not you know,
backstage the respect was there, but like right. I came from my brother, and like meeting like guys like Jack Victory and Keener, like I have that old school respect. Like
right.
COVID is what broke me of wanting to shake everybody's hands, because nowadays it's like, you know, acknowledge everybody, be respectful. You don't necessarily have to shake hands. COVID has broken me of that, because my whole thing was you better say hi. And it goes back to me being less rigid, more patient, relaxed, and understanding. You know, I can be an extrovert, and so it's easier, and I'm more comfortable going up to strangers and saying hi, where younger people today might not have that comfort level. It's not they're being disrespectful, but you know. But I definitely was very rigid back in the day of that. But, you know, I find a lot of people pretty good. I really liked legit Layla Hirsch. I like her a lot. And when I met her at the Collective, she told me straight up, she's like, I'm so sorry. She goes, I don't really know who you are. It's so sweet, because like she owned it, and I'm like, girl, no problem, this is me, I'm Allison Danger, I do this here. And she was like, okay, so nice to meet you. And like that took a lot of courage on her part to be straightforward and go, I don't really know, and I'm not too familiar, it's my first time here. You know, she was 4 years old when I started my career. So you know, it's one of those, take the opportunity to learn when you get the chance. Like at Championship, you know, I didn't know everybody, but I made a point of getting to know everybody and learning names and learning styles and stuff like that. You know, next time I'm going to see them, I'm going to know who they are. Now, if the next time I saw them and I'm like, oh, who are you? Oh, I've met you. That's going to be ignorant on my part. And so, you know, it's the second meeting to me now that's more important than the first. But like, I adored Layla. I think she's got so much potential. I love that AEW is using her more, because I think she's going to be a beautiful fit there.
Yeah.
And so, and that's the thing, like right now there's so many opportunities that I'm like, when I talk to someone, I'm like, I think this is who you should make a run for. It's not because I don't think, you know, if I say, hey, I think you should make a run for AEW, it's not because you're not good enough for Impact or WWE. It's when I look at this, I'm looking at who do I think you have the best chemistry with? I think that's going to be the right place for you. Or I think NXT is going to be the right place for this person, because I think, you know, they're going to have better chemistry with those down there. I mean, the coaches down there are top notch. They're going to be great. You know, you got Bloom and Del Rey down there. You got Dustin Rhodes over at AEW, who I know is going to do great things. I think he's a lovely human being. he once put together a Blu-ray player for me, which was so nice. I still have it. And I doubt he remembers that, but he did a show in North Carolina where he ended up staying at my house. And I don't know if the hotel fell through, but he was so nice. And he was like, saw that my husband was still in Switzerland, sent me a Blu-ray player. And he's like, do you need that? And I'm like, I don't know how to work this there. He's like, I got you. Boom, 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 sets it up. He's such a nice guy. But, you know, you got Gail Kim, you got Scott Tamora backstage over at Impact. And so, you know, when I say, hey, I think you'd be a good fit there, it's not me saying you're not a great fit anywhere else, but I'm looking... I look at it like chess, you know, you got to make the right move with the right piece. And so, yeah, like I want to see, of course, I want to see everybody signed and happy and everybody making money because that's just who I am.
But you know what? That's such a great point because, you know, when we do regular like wrestling talk and stuff, you know, we're essentially, you know, playing roles, playing characters essentially to, you know, have heat between us and whatnot. So you say, you know, things that are just a little more absurd, but the truth of the matter is, coming from the background of, you know, knowing so many people over the years, having, you know, been an actor, been in production for so many years, that's the number one thing. As long as there's opportunity for people to earn a paycheck and they're working towards earning that paycheck, you know, where they're not just, you know, they got signed and now I'm just going to half-ass it because, you know, I hit it. That's the whole thing. There's so many opportunities now that it's phenomenal. Could you imagine, you know, when WWE just kind of, you know, took over and WCW went, ECW went, and then TNA was just, you know, kind of squeaking in that startup phase. It looked so bad for so many people I knew because they were never going to get a shot at WWE. And now it's like, shit, you can, you know, find, like you said, the fit that will help you raise your brand value. And it's amazing.
I think also,
can you guys see the ice cream truck coming past my house?
No, I can't. But I know when there's ice cream truck, there's usually a kid that usually will ask, hey, can I get something?
Let's get some money.
Ice cream in.
I'm surprised my kid has not like ran out of her room yet.
Oh, I hear it now. I hear it.
Like, do you guys hear it? There's literally an ice cream truck coming past my balcony. Grab your wallet. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, because that's what my son does.
Mom's still
my
recording.
son does the same thing. The same.
That's
thing.
Awesome.
Do you have enough for mom?
I didn't think of that.
Obviously, I'll pay you back, but I'm in the middle of something. This is gonna be great for the outtakes. Danger takes an ice cream break in the middle of a podcast because why would you?
Hey, we like it. We like it. We're the wild, wild west over here. Anything goes.
If you have enough money, grab me the ice cream sandwich, the chocolate chippy one, and if they don't worry about it. I love you. You complete me.
Ooh, is that the chocolate chip ice cream sandwich? Because those are amazing.
Cookies, vanilla ice cream rolled in chocolate chip.
Oh, so good.
That was good. When I was pregnant with her. That's all I wanted, man. I wanted Big Macs. I wanted Big Macs from McDonald's, but I needed the Coke Slurpee from Burger King. And then you had to have those ice cream sandwiches. And if it was not rolled in chocolate chips, you better take that bad boy back and roll it in some chocolate chips because there had to be the chips in it. Yeah.
Man, that is amazing. Like the one thing I think about is when a woman is pregnant and she goes and asks for something, you know, whoever it is, whether it's your husband, you better get it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get it right, it's more that you encourage in wrath, in appointment. It's the after effects of that. So it's more, don't even show up to the door if it ain't right. Have it right from top to bottom. Here you go, beautiful.
Well, and like I remember when I was pregnant, like those cravings were real, and it was one of those feelings where I'm gonna die if I don't get this.
Yep.
And
I felt
that's
like Indiana Jones getting stuff from somewhere at the middle of the night. Whenever that sounds weird now. Yeah, when my wives were pregnant, this is where they always laugh at me. When my wives were pregnant with my children, yes, it was a mission. I had to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys get it.
Speaking of foods, was there any type of food you were introduced to when you met your husband that you might have never had encountered before?
Mm. So I never really ate fondue before I met him. I was not a big schnitzel person.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And now I can make schnitzel.
Really?
Oddly enough, I've gotten to that point in my life where I'm old enough now where meat doesn't sit right. So I became a vegetarian during the pandemic. I still am. I literally have a soup off camera in my Dutch oven. It's gonna be making homemade broccoli and cheese soup tonight, me and the kiddo. And yeah, what was it? I always liked sauerkraut, but like Spatzli, Rösti is, oh my God, I love that stuff. And for a long time, it was Rösti mit Speck und Ei, which is bacon and egg. It's, imagine the best tasting, what did you used to get them? Get them at Waffle House, smothered, diced, sliced.
Oh, the hash browns?
Kind of like hash browns.
Yeah.
But like shaved potatoes. It's kind of like that.
Right.
And you can serve it with like an onion sauce. Oh my God, I love it so much. Yeah, that stuff is amazing. And then what else? There's some candies over there that I like. I'm really into Toblerone, Ragusa. But we have an international market in Vegas off of Decatur and
yeah.
Decatur and Bell or something like that. You can get some good German foods in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. There's
I think I passed by there before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can make pretzels from scratch now.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Like soft pretzels, like German soft pretzels. I make them from scratch now.
Wow.
Yeah, I might bake some tonight.
Before the pandemic hit, were you guys did you guys go to like Hofbrauhaus, any of those kind of restaurants, either German restaurants or European
Cafe
restaurants?
Berlin.
Oh, Cafe Berlin
on Decatur. Yep.
Yeah,
right off the 215. We would go there. Oh, that one. The first Saturday of every month, they would have a German buffet, and we would go, and that was really good. But I have a Swiss cookbook, and I've been learning how to do some things. I make this Apfelcreme, which is like a apple juice pudding, and then I make my own whipped cream with it and everything. And I learned how to make butter in this pandemic, you guys.
What?
Butter.
Making a YouTube show and making butter.
There you go.
Yeah.
How long is the process for making butter?
Super easy. Huh?
How long is the process for making butter from scratch?
10 minutes.
What?
Oh, wow.
10 minutes.
I thought it would be longer.
Nope. You take a container of heavy whipping cream, and it's best if you have like a stand-up mixer.
Okay.
Pour it in the stand-up mixer, turn it on, and as it whips, it will start to like thicken and get frothy, and then it'll turn in like a whipped cream that you could sweeten, right? Keep whipping, and all of a sudden you're going to see water coming out of it. Just lay a kitchen towel over it, and it goes and it goes and it goes. Once whipped cream has been whipped enough and it releases its water, it turns yellow and leaves butter at the end.
Really?
And I just put it in a glass dish and I cover it and I put it in the fridge. And so homemade butter. Yeah.
I'm gonna remember that. I actually have some heavy whipping cream in my refrigerator, oddly enough.
You have a stand-up mixer. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to. No, it's easier with that because it'll start to move the bowl. But if you don't mind standing there with like a hand mixer, I'm sure you can do it that way too.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try that because I have no idea.
I get fancy when I cook, y'all.
All right.
I'm to the point where I'm a little bougie with my kitchen. I have all the gadgets, everything. Like my goal is to eventually make like pasta from scratch, like everything from scratch.
Nice.
But you know what? That's the cool thing, because a lot of times when you're a determined person who likes to learn things and try new things, if you're motivated to do it, that's when you find out, wow, shit, I can do almost anything, Yeah. And you're not limiting yourself to, I'll just go to the store, buy this, or, I think that's the coolest thing. I think, how you said 2020, this was going to be your year, you're going to do this, that. Oh, fuck. pandemic. I think that sometimes it's almost like a secret calling of like, look at how much you've actually accomplished this year now, and how much of a more diverse person you've become because of it. And you have a positive takeaway instead of all the, the negatives of shit,
Yeah. I mean, this year is a dumpster fire. It's hit us all in different ways. I've had my high points, I've had my low points, and I just try to wake up every day and just be grateful and just be like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have it the worst. I'm pretty okay. Hubby's job is stable. We're able to keep a roof over our heads. And then we stop and we go, what can we do to help the other people? That's a big thing. Hi, I love you. That's like a big thing with me is, how do we give back to the community? And that's one thing I like to teach my kid. And, when we do Spread the Word in Nevada, we take books there. We drop stuff off at, whatchamacallit? She came back. She didn't have enough for the sandwich, but that's okay. That's my fault for not giving her any money. So, guys, I'm not.
She thought of you, though. She did.
He looks happy. Yeah, she tried to hit me so real quick. I'm like, no, it's good. But I want to get back to the community, and because I love Vegas so much. Like, this has been my home for 10 and a half years, and I love the city. I love the Golden Knights, and I want to give back. And so it's like, okay, can we do stuff for what is it? Serving Our Kids Foundation, which helps get food weekend packages to kids who might not have food. They're from food insecure homes. And I don't want anyone in Vegas starving. I don't want anyone in Vegas, struggling to make ends meet. So I wake up every day and I try to be grateful and I try to think, okay, what can I do to help my community?
Definitely.
So,
That's totally admirable. I mean, especially during this time of year, it's, as we get closer to the holidays and Christmas and things like that, it's really vital. And speaking of this time of year, can we just go ahead and settle the debate once and for all? What is the single greatest Christmas movie of all time, and why is it Die Hard?
Because it's Die Hard. Yes. Because I mean, it ain't Christmas till Hans Gruber falls off the Nakatomi Plaza. I am the damn authority on this. I'm telling you right now, I'm ending the debate. Die Hard. It is a Christmas movie. I fought it. And I finally opened my eyes. I watched it. I'm like, yeah, this is Christmas.
Here's the question though. When you guys are sitting down, you're watching Die Hard, does your husband cheer for Hans Gruber?
He does not.
I don't think anybody cheers for Hans Gruber.
No, because
who does?
I mean, oh my God, what a Gruber question. No, because he's German and my husband's Swiss, and it's not the same. And Gruber's obviously a bad guy. But man, who is a better bad guy back then than Alan Rickman?
So true.
What an international treasure, man. That just,
yeah.
Whew. Yeah, but no, it's definitely that. And then I also like It's a Wonderful Life. Mm-hmm. We'll watch Elf. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we're moving. And my house is nicknamed after Die Hard. It's the Yakatomi Plaza because nobody knows how to pronounce our last name. It rhymes with hockey. And so I remember, what was it, the year for the 30th anniversary? We put a picture of it up on our door with never forget Nakatomi Plaza. John McClane was here. And we ribbed our friends that were coming over. So they saw it and they were like, did we miss something? We're like, go look at it again. They go, you guys are watching Die Hard tonight, aren't you? I'm like, as soon as y'all leave my house. Yep. That's just cuddled up on the couch, bellies full of Italian food. That's the tradition. The tradition is every Christmas Eve, we have our friends over and I make way too much food. I make a lasagna that doesn't even fit in the screen.
Oh, geez.
Wow.
And I usually make that. I've made spaghetti bread, which is you roll out bread, you put al dente spaghetti with the sauce in the bread, and then you weave the bread over it, and then you bake it, and then you slice it, and you can eat it like a sandwich.
What?
Like a spaghetti calzone almost, yeah. Because I like bread and butter with my spaghetti, and instead of doing it up and then following with bread, I just put it all together.
That is probably the most efficient thing that I've heard in a very long
I
time.
have to look that one up. That sounds
If
good.
anything,
Actually,
you should be efficient.
No.
Yeah, definitely Wayne from Letterkenny when it comes to food delivery.
so while you're cooking, just whether it's just on Christmas Eve, I'm assuming, or any other time when you're having to cook a lot, what is either something that you have that goes with it, like music or drink? Like I know for me, when I cook, I like having a little wine while I'm cooking. Is there anything that you have while you're performing your masterpiece feast?
So usually I have a wine glass full of Coke Zero because I don't drink often. And on non-Christmas Eve days, I like podcasts. I'm a big fan. Like my favorite is the Scrubs podcast. Okay. And I want to be a guest on that so bad because I'm like pro wrestling's #1 Scrubs fan. Oh my God, that's one of my favorite shows. I've watched it a million times. I love Zach Braff. I love Donald Faison. I feel like Zach Braff could be a lost Carino. I feel like there's a little bit of like a familial look. I feel like him, Dax Shepard are lost Carinos. Q from Impractical Jokers could be a Carino.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Nick Jonas could be a Carino, but not the other two.
The other two.
Okay. Not the one that married with Games of Thrones and then the unattractive one. No, the little baby Jonas, he could be a Carino. Yes.
Baby Jonas. That's a new name for him.
Brad happens to hear this, hey bro, put me on. I would love to be on. I love Scrubs. But that's like one of my favorite podcasts. I do like the Dax Shepard Armchair Expert. I love Brene Brown. I'm reading her Dare the Lead book right now, and she's got a podcast that if you've got time, that's a good one. The David Tennant one, if I need to relax, pull a little David Tennant podcast on.
Oh yeah.
Sets that relaxing mood, Also, I get the Doctor Who feels might distract me a little bit, but that's got it. That does it for me every time. Let me some Doctor Who.
You mentioned Scrubs, and back in I'm dating myself now, 99 2000-ish, I was studying at the Improv Olympics in LA, and one of my teachers was Neil Flynn, who ended up being the janitor.
No way, janitor!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was listening to this week where they were talking about the scene where you find out like he was in The Fugitive. And they're like, well, that kind of gives up his name, that like now if they watch it and they go back and it says that character is played by Neil Flynn, they're going to know, oh, well, the janitor's named Neil Flynn, but the janitor played so many different characters.
Right.
And he lied so much about his name. Who would believe that he would actually give his real name to the makers? And one of the fun things about The Fugitive is when he like yells Kimball, like when I need my kid's attention, I yell her name like that because it's Kendall. Kendall. She'll run out. What? Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I think in the interest of me being able to send this file over to DJ at some point.
In the interest of bandwidth. This is what I do on my show. I digress so much. That's just how I am. Yeah.
You know what? When we started, that was our motto from the beginning. It's like we want people to realize that, hey, this person's a cool person. No matter what they do in their life, we want you to want to know what's going on for the rest of their lives. And now with social media, because you can do that, it's fucking amazing. And we're excited as hell that you started doing a podcast because it's so cool to see someone with the knowledge that you have and the just the personality that you have to be able to talk about things with these ladies who, I think that the young girls who are, let's say 12 years old now, and if they start discovering little by little, hey, this is a voice that I can listen to now. That is so fucking valuable in this life, you know, because the positive role models for women, and then you can narrow it down to pro wrestling, but I think just in general it's such a great thing to see that now there are people who can, you know, just, you can look for it and find that guidance. And a lot of times, you know, in the past, that guidance wasn't there, you know, and that goes for, you know, a lot of times you feel, if you feel awkward or shy, or, you know, you might have a passion that, you know, other people think is, you know, well, you couldn't possibly be this, or you couldn't possibly do that. And it's great to see other successful women who are making their way into the field that they love to do. And here you got a perfect person to talk to them. And I mean, man, Allison, we are not just excited that you're doing the show, but B, that it's coming from the great city of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I know, right? We're keeping it like home, you know?
Definitely.
702.
That's right.
You know, that's just you know, man, you tug at our heartstrings because yeah, it's true though, man. You really, you've cut out such a successful career for yourself and a successful life for yourself. And you know what excites me the most is I want to see where your daughter is in 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see her success now because of your.
Yeah. And I mean, like, she wants to be an animator. We're super supportive of it. We're like, all right, kid, what do you need from mom and dad? You know, so I'm excited, but I don't want her to grow up too fast because she's already almost 12. And like, where's that baby? Like, I was bringing the Shimmer shows and like handing off while I go run and do a quick match and whatnot. But she's almost as tall as me now. And smart as a whip. She got my mouth, but her dad's smart. It's a deadly combination. My husband is so smart, and she's got it too. And she goes to like a good school, and she's in advanced placement. And like, she's like, Mom, I need help with homework. I'm like, girl, I don't know how to do this. Go. Now I know. I learned what a clause was this week, but yeah, and she's got such a good heart, and she's so kind. Like, she got all the good parts of me and the good parts of him, and it just created this like super kid.
That's awesome.
Does that not just make you so happy? And you know, you see at times when you think the world is burning down around you, you can see that the future that is the children of this country just could actually, you know, make you go, wow, man, we were in trouble, and now, you know.
That's why I'm a firm believer in investing in our kids, making education better, making sure these kids are eating. Because I tell my kid, I'm like, imagine you got to take a test and you're hungry. I go, how do you concentrate? She goes, well, it's hard. And I go, now imagine if you're that kid every day, and every day is a test, and every day you're distracted because your tummy's growling. I go, that's why we volunteer. That's why we try to make sure the kids in Vegas have that food, and, you know, because I'm like, we're lucky. We're very privileged to be okay through this. We've kept our health. We've kept our home. You know, not everybody's got that. So what can we do to help? You know, always, it goes back to that Mr. Rogers things. Always look for the helpers. You know, when bad things happen, like when October 1st happened, how many people were running away because they didn't know what was going on? And how quick were people ready to run in? And how quick were people grabbing each other and covering over strangers' bodies to make sure that they're not getting hit because nobody knew what was going on? And like, always look for the helpers. And I remember it happened. I woke up, I got like text messages going, oh my God, were you there? I'm like, no, I'm not there, but I know people that were. I know people that took some bullets. I know people who had friends and family that they lost. And I didn't feel comfortable sending my kid to school the next day. I was like, I just got to hold her. So the first thing we did was we went and we grabbed a bunch of stuff from what's it called? Corner Bakery.
Yeah.
I went in, I'm like, let's grab snacks, let's grab this, and let's go donate blood, right? Here we go. Get over there. And the line is like out the door, through the parking lot. So we're like, okay, what can we do? Let's hand out snacks. Let's make sure people are hungry. Let's make sure people are hydrated. I remember this truck pulling up, people in it, people in the back, full of supplies, dropping down. Who needs what? People going, let's open our homes. Okay, are you stranded here? Do you need a place to stay? Contact us. You can have a guest room. We've got showers, you guys. If you need anything, if you need to just come and get away something, come have a cup of coffee. And Delta and Southwest were flying in victims' families for free, and hotels were putting people up. And then the Golden Knights, home game a couple days later, everything's for that. Like, that's the city. And I wish every city had that without having the tragedy that brought it all about. But I mean, I didn't realize how much I loved Vegas till October 2nd.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people that feel that same sentiment, and putting humanity first should always be our number one priority. I mean, we should teach our kids humanity first and service along with it, because when you're able to, like you're saying, volunteer, that's service and giving back to community. I mean, when you're able to do that, humanity will thrive in a community because of that. So thank you.
I mean, if a community is your garden, man, you be the rain, you be the love that comes down and build your community. I hope more people do that. And no matter where I go in my life, wherever I end up, like, Vegas is always going to be a special part of my life. And, I grew up in Philly, and Philly is the hometown, but like, Vegas is where I live.
Yeah. Yeah. No, one thing, I'll leave it at this, and I'm done for this. One great thing about Vegas that people don't realize is, our community is what holds up the industry on the inside. The center is the industry, but the community is on the outside. And if you look at from Henderson to Centennial Hills to Northwest Las Vegas to Northside to Summerlin, we are the community that holds Vegas together.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks Vegas is just the Strip, but it's so much more.
So much.
It's so much more. But
for anyone who's listening who doesn't follow you on social media, what are your the best things they can look up to follow you on social media?
Twitter at Allison Danger. I tweet every now and then. I try to keep everything super positive. Instagram, I post a lot of pictures. That's at the Allison Danger, because somebody already had Allison Danger and they ruined it for me. If you go on YouTube, Allison Danger has a YouTube channel. We got Women's Herstory with Allison Danger. The goal was always to be like a half-hour podcast. The last 3 weeks have all been over an hour. Solo Darling, Killer Kelly, Cheerleader Melissa, and got some good guests coming up, and very excited to do that. But don't have a Facebook, don't have anything like that. Discord. I have Discord now. Still not 100% sure how it works.
Nice.
But I do get on there every now and then. A lot of what I do is connected to Nicole Savoy's Discord. So if you find hers, you'll find mine. I probably talk more on hers than I do on my own, but
It's a great tool.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, everyone, again, I encourage you to follow Allison. Please watch her show, because it's just, it's so important to support, everyone who is like Allison, that is a knowledgeable person and is doing such great things for other people. And, if you listen, if you have the choice, please turn off Joe Rogan. He doesn't need the hits. He doesn't need the views. Watch Allison, man.
And tell Zach Braff I want to be on the Scrubs podcast.
There you
Him
go.
and Donald is on. Tell them they need Allison Danger on their podcast.
Zach Braff, huge fan of the show, of course. He's listening right now, I'm sure.
Right now. Yes. His girlfriend did a bang-up job on Fighting with My Family. It was such a good movie. Oh my God, we're going to talk all day.
All right, everyone who's listening, thank you very much for tuning in. And remember to download, subscribe, do everything you can to get the word out about the biggest bad boys of podcasting and all the things we offer. And until next time, we'll see you later. Okay, let me turn that there. Come on. Okay, cool.